Coming into round 15, ready for our Draftstars selections here. We're going to kick it off with our Tigers and our Titans game. If you haven't signed up to Draftstars before, guys, head down into the description below. Thank you for joining me here on the videos, and that just lets Draftstars know that you have signed up through me. So thank you for doing that if you are watching and new. Tigers, guys, Jareem Butler absolutely smashing it of recent times. 59 and 60, 2 in a row now. Up against the Titans who leak a lot of points. I definitely think he is a really good option still. But the cheaper and guy that is averaging more is actually Stafford Toa. So very consistent, one score in his last six, on his last seven actually under 40, which is great news. He has 113 in there. So Stafford at 13.5 is a must, I think, in this one. You can go for guys like Junior Tupou. AJ Brimson is back at 1. He's pretty cheap at 10.5k. So there's lots of different options here. You could really, I think, likely select one of these guys in your flex as well. So all good options there. Halves hookers, I think Tanner Boyd, like last week, as I said, just a very simple option. 53 in a game where he didn't perform that well either. He had one try assist at the start and then didn't do a lot from there. So Tanner, a terrific option, along with guys like Brooks and also Wakeham, who's still being priced in that cheap range there at 13.3. So another 49 from Wakeham in that one. Always a good option, those three. So they're the only guys that I'd be looking at. You got Verrills in there, but he should lose a couple of minutes there, I'd imagine, still in this game. In the forwards, Tino is coming off a massive one there. We've got John Bateman as well, a huge game for him, and Mo Fotuaika. So any of those four, if you could select two of them, that would be ideal, but that would mean you probably get a little bit cheaper in the outside backs. If you're looking at some potential cheaper guys in here, Khaleesi Haas is the best way to go about it, given he gets the start for David Fafita, who has been rested. So Khaleesi Haas, get him in your side to round out that forwards if you are going too expensive, and the one cheap. Let's look at the Raiders and the Warriors. So the outside backs, Chance and Dallin, have been absolutely killing it, and they're both very cheap in this one as well. So a mixture between those two, at least picking one of them, will work out best for you. Matt Tomoko finally got back to a little bit of form, but still only 31 points. He looked much better out there. I think you need to avoid him and at least go for one of those two. Albert Hopewade is the other, but obviously a great man, Jared Croker, in his 300th. Maybe you just select him. Surely he gets a try in that one. He's been scoring pretty well, to be honest with you, since in the last 5 games, he's gone over 37 in 3 of those occasions. So at 10k, could do a great job. And you've got Ali there at 9k, who I don't know a lot about, but definitely is the cheapest one to grab in this game here. For the halves hookers, Johnson absolutely brained it. 107 he got last week with 2 tries, which was incredible. Jamal Fogarty had a really big game as well, and Wade Egan, a much improved game for him. I think you really need to go up top with these guys just because they have the upside that some of these other guys don't. Foggs has gone at 86 2 times in his last 8 games there, so great upside there as well. In the forwards, Adam Fanua-Blake still being the most dominant guy out there. Horsburgh moves back to the middle, which is good news. And then you've got, Tapane, I think lower minutes now back to the prop position. I would be avoiding him. Josh Papali'i still at a okay price, but 37 last week. Again, when he was scoring 37, 38, they had him at 9k, which is hilarious. Martin Niokore, I think he's more of a buy at 14k. He looked really good running the footy last week, and I think he can do that again, but is that 50 plus game in his wheelhouse? I'm not sure. Whitehead comes back, probably avoiding him. Emre Gula, much more of a manageable price there at 11.3, hitting over 30 each of the last 5 games. So mixture of those guys will work out well in that game. Then you're looking at the Dolphins there up against Manly, and Jermaine Asako continues to absolutely smash it. I think Tommy Trbojevic is the play in this one, though, who's cheaper than those two. They're in Ruben and Jermaine, so pick him first and then make your decision from there on potentially some of the cheaper guys. We will see Valance if he does get the start. If Branko Lee seems to be carrying a bit of an injury, went off last week, which allowed Valance to play. If he gets that spot at 9k, you need to slot him in your side. But other than that, I really think you need to go up top, to be honest with you, there with Tommy Trbojevic and then maybe Jermaine Asako, which is going to make it hard to select one of your higher priced guys here in the halves hook. So you may have to go for Cody Nikorima or Isaiah Katoa, or the last one there is Josh Schuster. But I think Katoa and Nikorima can split some decent scoring there, just because they don't have Milford there to stifle a lot of their gameplay anymore. Katoa will get more kick meters. Nikorima in 6, I like him better than he has been in the fullback position. You saw those 4 scores beforehand of 41 or above, all the way up to 65. So one of those guys I think you should pick to go along with the top dogs in the outside backs. And then in the forwards, really, I think the biggest guy you need to select is Ray Stone. I also think Sibley can do really well as also. So those guys at the cheaper price will work well. And then you've got Samuela Fainu there at 11k. So he should be able to get good points like he did last game he played at the 45. So look at Fainu for that one to mix with those other two in that line. Let's go to Dragons and also the Rabbitohs. And outside backs for them, obviously no Latrell is hurtful. We've got no Cam Murray in their forwards, but I still think they'll come out and do really well and get a good win. Alex Johnson continues to score tries. His form of his last three is 46, but that includes a lot of tries there. So, he's someone that you could look at, but I'd probably avoid. Zach Lomax has been playing really well. It's a lot cheaper and can do a good job. And the guy we always speak about there is Ravalawa. And he continues to score really well, averaging 41 for the season, back to a 54 finally. So he had a couple of low ones there. Obviously 28's not the worst at his price point, but a 19 was the low, back to a 54 with a try. Was lovely, and that is all I would look at, to be honest with you. A couple of those top guys, Isaiah Tass obviously scoring best in the last two. Can he keep that up? I definitely think he can on the Walker side anyway. And then Lomax and also Graham and Johnson there, with Graham playing for an Origin jersey, that's for sure. We look at the halves and hookers here. We've got Damien Cook up top, who is playing pretty well. He's averaging 56 for the season and very, very consistent, another 54 there. Last week, you've got Cody, who's been dominant. Ben Hunt, I think, is obviously been really, really good. 38 is a low, but plenty of scores above of 60 and above, which I think is a little bit more, obviously higher upside, a little bit more than that of Cody Walker. Jacob Little has been performing great, tackling hard, and got the attacking stats a couple of weeks ago. He's the cheaper guy on the list. Silva Havili, so he's our cheap guy at 11.3, which for some reason he's been named in the halves hookers when he's literally going to play at 13 or in the prop position. So he's 11.3 and you can use him as flex or as your starting half hooker. But I would prefer and like him to be in that forward position. Last week we spoke about Francis Molo being a good option there. He ended up with 52.8, so that was huge. And he's gone up a little bit in price, but I would look to select him again for sure. Billy Burns gets that start. If we see Ben Mercosilla in the starting side, then we could select him for sure. But if he goes back to the bench for Jack Bird or Blake Laurie, then we'll avoid him in this one. And Keelan Kolomatangi is going to be fighting for a spot in the Origin side. So a 70 for him. I think he's trying to rev up a little bit now that he's had a bunch of games back. For the Bunnies, let's go to Knights and the Broncos here. Greg Marzhew is a top contender to score really well here, along with Dane Gagai. But what I am worried about is how well the Broncos have been defending. So I'm not sure if we can go all out on the outside backs for the Knights. And you'd probably want to be going for Ponga if you are heading in that direction of Knights outside back. So 12.9, he's the play to go for. Katoni Staggs performed really well last week. He's the cheap guy if you're looking at a Broncos back. A mixture between Farnworth and Walsh. Picking one of those guys are going to be pretty solid. So if they can dominate Knights, then great. Those guys will kill it. If not, then there's that too. So there's Corey Oates, who had a cracker last week. Big run meters. Did a good job. I doubt he's going to play that well again. But sure, he's the cheaper guy that you could look at as well as Katoni. Halves hookers. We've got Frank Crossland. Should be able to do a decent job there. Billy Walters had a good one as well with a nice forward pass try assist to Jordan Riki. But then Adam Reynolds. I think Adam Reynolds is your play, guys. 58 in that last one, 88 the week before. So he has the upside, and you'll want him in your team. Let's go to forwards. And obviously, Payne Haas back in a big way. Obviously, didn't play great last week. Got the same minutes. So I expect sort of 55, 60 in this one. Him or Carrigan to absolutely dominate. So I'd suggest going for one of them, whichever one you think has the greatest upside there. Carrigan had huge upside a couple of weeks ago, but Haas obviously on a regular basis. Whichever one you have more money for. More or less money for, I would say. Flegler's going to be solid again, 36 last week. Again, nothing special after Origin, but that is what it is. And really no one else I'd be looking at. So it's not great. Not great signs for the Knights there. I think it is a mixture of those top couple of guys. You could go for Adam Elliott, but he didn't score very well last game either. He hasn't been great at all, to be honest with you. And then just probably mixing in guys like Saifidi, who are going to do a decent enough job, and really no one else to select. So might have to mix a couple of those mid-range type of guys in your squad. Okay, let's go to Panthers and the Roosters. And big ones here, obviously, with Cleary out, is can the Panthers dominate as much as they were? And are these outside backs able to go and perform really, really well? That's the biggest question mark here. Guys like Stephen Crichton, obviously, will get the goal kicking now. He had that last week and he only got the 23. You've got Sunya Taruva, I think, is someone that has been performing a lot better of recent time with a couple of tries the last few weeks. But 3 games, 40 and above in his last 4 is great news at 12.5k. You can definitely get away with that as a good score. Isaac Tungo returned last week and performed solidly with his 40, so have a look at him for sure. And then it's Tedesco doing his thing and Edwards, but the lowest scoring team that you can go up against is the Panthers. It's very hard to score as an outside back if you're a Rooster. So if you're a Rooster up against the Panthers in this week. Joey Manu, wasn't too excited with him last week. Jack Cogger, I think, is the play. He's going to get massive kick meters like he did last week at 42.4. He'll get the 80 minutes instead of 63 this time. And somewhere in the mid-40s is going to be great for him. Mixing Jack Cogger and Jake Turpin as a flex and a starter is 100% the play this week. Turpin made 50 tackles and did a great job with a tackle break and 40 kick meters as well. So those two are the play to have. Let's go to the forwards now, and Isaiah Yeo continues to dominate, and I think he's the play always in this one. 21,000, especially if you're going cheap in the halves hookers. You can definitely go for him there. Mixture of Lee and Martin, I think is going to be cool. You got Satilli at the cheaper price, who all can score okay. Not super excited by them. Sorensen, Hosking is way too expensive at the price, to be honest with you. And Fisher Harris, you'd expect a bounce back from him. So look to those guys. In the Sharks and the Storm game, it's going to be very close, I think, and Storm will need to bounce back. The outside backs for them, we spoke about Meany last week as a good option. You end up with 38 with so many good things happening. A try, assist, and try as well. One was a chip and chase, so that's that there. Jesse Ramian, much better form of recent times, so a 48 for him, 35 and a 46 at 12.1. He's definitely a guy that could do a great job for your side. Be nice to see Connor Tracy in there, but he's not. So Ronaldo at again, pretty average of recent time. He's only had a couple of 50s, but they were a long while ago. So mixing between Will Kennedy, Talakai, I think with his try last week was okay again at 35. I don't think the Sharks played very well. So definitely a bounce back from a few of their guys, but Meany will be the guy to kind of control things at the back for the Storm to try and help them win this clash. Nico Hines got 67 last week. So it wasn't his best game, but he'll definitely bounce back, I'd say. In this one, kick meters were a little bit low as well. So something to note there. Really, apart from that, it's just if you have the extra cash, go for Hines. If you don't, go for Grant or Munster. Both sort of averaging well for the season, but scoring low in their last bunch. So keep an eye out on them as to which one you want to select. And then in the forwards there, again, it's fairly difficult, I would say, to pick. You probably have to go for the mid-range guys. Christian Welch averaging over 40, which is good. Eli Katoa could definitely do a job as well. His form, obviously, the last 3 weeks has been good. Last week, 43. I don't think he had a very good game last week. So, it should be some improving from there. And then any of the cheap guys, you still have Nelson pretty expensive. I really wouldn't look at anyone below, really, Tui, Kamakamika there. Anyone under that, not very excited about. Bulldogs and Eels, Dylan Brown just found out has been stood down, so we avoid him in the halves and the hookers, and we look at Mitch Moses, obviously 24,000, and then you're looking at Burton, and then Carla Luapu is the cheapest guy there. Got some good kick meters the last few weeks, so 33.6, not much other than the kicking and tackling, so he's an easy one to slot in your flex if you want a cheap guy. But Matty Burton and Moses are the play. Reed Marty's still not sure if he will actually play. So there's that. Will Penasini, obviously the best option, I think, in the centres for the Eels in this one. You've got Carraz coming back at 11-1. Really, he's way too cheap if he does play. He needs to be in your side. And then, really, I think from there, it's Simonson at 11-2. He's been pretty good as well the last couple of weeks, 51 and 50. So, that's where I'm at in the outside backs. And then the forwards, we're looking at Jermaine Hopgood. I really think he needs to be in your side. 21-4. He does have Regan Campbell-Gillard back. He comes in at just over 15k, and you got Junior Barlow there. But Jermaine's the guy up top to spend that decent cash on. And then you've got Ockenbaugh still at 13-7. A great option, I would say, still. Bryce Cartwright continues to do good things, scoring that 50 and the 46 since he's been back in the starting side, playing good minutes. And then Tavita Pangai Jr. will be able to do a great job for you as well, considering last week he did awesomely. There's definitely no shortage of options in the forwards for this match. I wish you all the best of luck, guys, and please, as I said, sign up in the description below and enjoy round 15.